Hello and welcome to the New World Review, your source for everything anime and manga, except not really, because here we're all pretty open about our twisted love for Hunter x Hunter. So today I would like to present 10 shocking facts about this series that you may or may not know. Because this series has a pretty crazy history with some truly bizarre and astounding events happening not only in Hunter x Hunter itself, but also surrounding its production, as well as some very bizarre occurrences surrounding the production of this very video, such as you not being subscribed to the New World Review, which is utter madness, because doing so would grant you regular Hunter x Hunter content uploaded straight into your YouTube feed. So click the button, join our association, and let's talk about some weird stuff, starting with shocking fact number 10. You do not pronounce the X in Hunter x Hunter. Now, I must apologize for starting off with what is a rather basic fact, but I just know that there is someone out there who desperately needs to hear this. You do not pronounce the X, and it is particularly astonishing to me how many other significantly more prominent YouTubers continue to call this series Hunter x Hunter. But with that said, I guess it is a slightly confusing name for Western audiences. You see, this X is but a clever ruse and is in fact a multiplication symbol, and it's really hard to describe the vague meaning behind it, but basically it's just here to indicate an interaction between two words, as well as, just look kinda cool, because that's the thing that happens in Japan. Take Yu Yu Hakusho for example. It has ornamental stars in its title, but you would never call it Yu Star Hakusho, or maybe you would, in which case, you're strange, and please bring this disturbing behavior to a halt. And if you did want to be super semantically stubborn, then feel free to call it Hunter times Hunter, I suppose, but no more of this Hunter x Hunter business. Alright, good. Now with that out of the way, let's move to shocking fact number 9. The author of the Hunter x Hunter manga, Yoshihiro Togashi, is married to Naoko Takeuchi, the mangaka of a little-known series you may have heard of called Sailor Moon. So this is what we would call an industry power couple. And this is quite relevant because after the conclusion of Sailor Moon, Takeuchi became heavily involved in Hunter x Hunter, which Togashi was just commencing. And originally, Takeuchi played the role of Togashi's manager, handling all sorts of office administration, before apparently being fired from that position by her future husband. And at this point, she would put her artistic abilities to use by coloring Hunter x Hunter, a task in which Takeuchi was quite successful at, and was able to mimic Togashi's art by using the mantra of making her work as ugly as possible, which worked very well actually. Her time with the series didn't last past the first volume though, and the whole Togashi-Takeuchi relationship is, well, it's quite a tumultuous affair, with Takeuchi even calling their wedding off on one occasion, which has also led to a fun internet joke about her wanting to put their wedding on hiatus in the same way that Togashi would go on to frequently put Hunter x Hunter on hiatus. However, things do seem to have worked out in the end, and the two are still together to this very day after more than 2 decades of marriage. So that's nice. But let's refocus on Hunter x Hunter with shocking fact number 8. Togashi may have already spoiled the end of Hunter x Hunter, or at least the fates of certain characters, quite specifically Kurapika and the Phantom Troop. This is a now infamous interview that occurred in Volume 0, which is notable for being a prequel focusing on Kurapika's life in the Kurt clan prior to the Phantom Troop massacre. In any case, amongst a slew of questions contained as bonus material for the volume, Togashi was fairly blatantly asked, what will end up happening to Kurapika and the Phantom Troop? To which Togashi quite blatantly replied, they will all die. And unfortunately, there was no follow-up question to that, so this is what we have to work with. And this has led to a bit of division of opinion in the Hunter x Hunter fanbase, with many believing that Togashi's words were intended as a joke, something that could very well be true but is difficult to judge from printed media, whilst the other school of thought is just to accept Togashi was telling the truth and that the ultimate fates of these tragic characters is to be erased from this world. It's an idea that current manga events do support, but only time will tell. Although even then, let's be real, maybe time will decide to keep this one a mystery. However, what is less of a mystery is shocking fact number 7. The protagonists in Hunter x Hunter all have mildly relevant birthdays, or at least a nice little feature where, assumedly coincidentally, each protagonist of the series is born on the same numbered day that corresponds with that numbered month of the year. So for example, Leorio was born on the 3rd of March, thus making his birthday the 3rd of the 3rd. Moving to Kurapika, he has the same thing going on, being born on the 4th of April, being the 4th of the 4th, and 1 month further we land on Gon, whose birthday is the 5th of May, the 5th of the 5th. Although this carries a bit of extra relevance because the 5th of May is actually a national Japanese holiday known as Children's Day, and many child protagonists of the manga realm have that date assigned as their birthday. But skipping ahead to Killua, he was born on the 7th of July, or the 7th of the 7th. However, the most interesting part about all of this is that Hisoka also fits quite nicely into this trend, having been born on the 6th of June, or the 6th of the 6th, which is a key piece of evidence used by fans when claiming that Hisoka is indeed the 5th protagonist of Hunter x Hunter. Really intriguing stuff there, but for something just plain bizarre, here is shocking fact number 6. Hunter x Hunter has spawned not just 1 but 2 live-action musical extravaganzas. Now that fact in itself isn't necessarily strange. In fact, most mainstream anime and manga tend to have have a slew of musicals dedicated to them in Japan at some stage or another, but the Hunter x Hunter musicals, well, they're particularly weird, especially if you've never seen Hisoka's dance, which you should absolutely look up on the YouTube. But the first production is named Musical Hunter x Hunter, and it takes place theoretically between the events of York New City and Greed Island, which basically sees the core group on a mission to recover 4 missing performers who each have starring roles in an upcoming theater festival. Meanwhile, the second one would be Hunter x Hunter, The Nightmare of Zoldyck, because they spell Zoldyck the way the data books do, but this is it's a sort of retelling of the Zoldyck family arc, although I think reimagining might be a better word. And it is interesting because both Illumi and Hisoka play major roles despite not having been in the actual arc. And what I will say as someone who has worked in musical theater for most of their professional life is that these shows are very pared back productions. Minimal set, basic lighting, and these shows are almost exclusively carried by the performers, which is very much in line with traditional Japanese theater. So look into them if you're keen. But speaking of keen, we have shocking fact number 5. Miss Universe Japan fancies Leorio. Alright, a bit of background here. We are talking about Yukimi Matsuo, who was crowned as Miss Universe Japan in 2013, a year which now seems shockingly far in the past. But in addition to being an actress, a model, and competing in beauty pageants, she is also a passionate manga artist and all-around lover of anime, manga, and games. In fact, during the Japanese national contest, she stated that her ambition was to spread her love for manga around the world. And she also went on to reveal that her ideal man would be one Leorio from Hunter x Hunter, which I think is a much needed win for Leorio in this whole Hunter x Hunter saga, and it does make some degree of sense given that he is one of the few characters in the series who you can objectively consider something of a good person, given that his life is dedicated to philanthropy and all. I guess it's all just a bit of a shame that he happens to be, fictional though, and as such he will never get to know that he was handpicked by a Miss Universe contestant. Well, no time for dwelling on that now because we have shocking fact number 4. The character of Dwun is based on Yoshihiro Togashi himself, and that's not a flattering basis. So if you're a more casual fan, just a quick recap, Dwun is one of the game masters of Greed Island, and he is most notable for having his name forcibly changed by Jing in order to fit the initial base naming scheme of the title. But when Gon aces the trivia section and officially beats the game, he is taken to Dwun's room, which is portrayed as your typical Hikokomori existence, filled with but 3 things: a man, a game, and an arse ton of garbage. And this is very much based in reality, as Togashi has been known to adopt this lifestyle from time to time, and a very famous picture exists of him playing Dragon Quest in a room that can be best described as a sty. And look, full disclosure, I'm not the cleanest of people, but this is too much even for me. And this photo is one of the famed pieces of evidences for the lazy Togashi argument, portraying him as an addicted gamer with no drive to actually finish Hunter x Hunter. And while it's more complicated than that, there is no denying that Togashi does get wildly absorbed into whatever singular focus he has at any given time, and the culmination of this personality in Hunter x Hunter just so happens to exist in Dwun. So that's fun. But moving on, we now have shocking fact number 3. Gon's arms are cursed. Not literally, of course, which I do need to point out because Nen curses are a thing, but in almost every arc, Gon ends up suffering a grave injury to one of his arms. During the Hunter exam, his left arm was quite brutally broken by Hanzo in the finals. In Heaven's Arena, his right arm was broken by Guido spinning tops. Then in York New City, the right arm once again fell victim to arm wrestling with Nobunaga, but still that was probably quite preferable to Greed Island, where part of his left arm was blown off entirely by Genthru's Little Flower, although I will remind you that this is a tactic that Gon had planned to occur, because that's what sane people do. And then of course in the Chimera Ant arc, his right arm was well and truly severed by Neferpito's post-mortem Nen. In fact, the only time Gon's arms ever really get a break in the series, pun intended, is during the Zoldyck family arc, or I guess the election arc. But even then, his arm was shown as a withered husk. It's just one of those motifs of Hunter x Hunter potentially designed to highlight Gon's sheer recklessness, because these injuries never occur accidentally. They always happen because Gon is stubborn and rash in his decision making, but then again, in the complete opposite direction, we move to shocking fact number 2. The Chimera Ant arc took 7.5 years to complete. And this does blow my mind somewhat, but the very first chapter of the Chimera Ant arc, entitled The Queen, was released in June 2003, whilst the last chapter, titled Final Will, would not be released until October 2011. And that is quite the long slog. I wasn't reading at the time, nor had I watched the 1999 anime, but I can't help but feel for all of you long-suffering Hunter x Hunter fans during this period. It really does put complaining about the pacing of other series into perspective, but of course pacing really isn't the issue here, is it? It's more about the plague of hiatuses that really emerged during this arc. And what I will say is that I do certainly come closer to identifying with older readers more and more, because a rather shocking sub-fact here is that the current arc, being the Succession War, has now been running for 6.5 years, as its first chapter was published in August August of 2014, and look, I don't really know what to say, because I suspect that if and when this arc does finish, it's going to take much longer than the Chimera Ant arc. And that's mostly because of shocking fact number 1. With every day that passes, we set a new record for the longest Hunter x Hunter hiatus. Yep, that's right. I'm afraid that we are currently living in the darkest point of Hunter x Hunter publication, because at the time of this recording, Hunter x Hunter has been absent in 89 issues of Weekly Shonen Jump, making this by far the longest wait between chapters we've had. And I mean, there have been similar hiatuses in the past, one of which lasted 80 issues and another lasting 79 issues, but 89 and counting is a disturbing record to be so consistently breaking. As it currently stands, there has not been a new chapter of Hunter x Hunter since December 2018, so we are rapidly approaching our first instance of experiencing 2 full years without a single installment. And while this is a record for all of the worst reasons, it's still a pretty interesting fact and well worthy of our number 1 place here today. But what do you guys think? Please do leave your thoughts in the comments below, or even join my Discord server. And if you're keen for some more Hunter x Hunter content, then please do go and check out some of my other videos, or even subscribe to the channel for regular Hunter x Hunter glory delivered straight into your YouTube feed. But for now, this has been the New World Review, and I'll see you next time.